In this video, we're going to be talking about how to, as a presenter or facilitator, set expectations for your audience, which really isn't a topic that we typically think of when we're thinking about or working with an adult audience. It's more of one we think of when working with children, or when thinking of matters of discipline. But that's not what this video is about. An adult audience, when it comes to learning or even just a group environment or meeting of minds, still needs boundaries. And as the room facilitator, it is your job early on to establish those expectations and see to it that those expectations are followed through for the remaining time together. Clear expectations allow participants to focus on why they are there and how they will be involved, which helps to facilitate learning and engagement. And so, to set expectations, there are a few things early on that you can do. Provide structure, define roles, give and be receptive to feedback, and of course, lead by example. So first up, you will want to provide some kind of structure for your group. A popular one for a group setting is to provide the day's agenda. Now, I wouldn't spend too much time going over the finer details, as your audience can read the topics themselves. But providing the agenda in advance and allowing for a discussion of the topics at the start of the day or the meeting is a good way to get the ball rolling. If this is a learning environment, clearly stating the learning objectives often is beneficial, or even stating what will be covered or even not covered is often helpful to create a fair sense of the course's content and scope. You might also consider briefly giving your audience a quick tour of any tools or the environment to make them feel more comfortable if they are using new software or are in a new environment that they are not familiar. Having to interrupt a meeting to ask where the bathroom is, that can be a bit embarrassing for anyone after all. And of course, clearly stating the expectations for any social dynamics is always a good idea. If you want them to step outside of the room to answer phone calls, or to silence their phones, or to limit checking their email during specific times while the meeting is taking place, these are all questions of social etiquette that are not really obvious to everyone anymore. And it is helpful to get these things out in the open early on. So the next step is to define any necessary roles for any participants. At a company I used to work for, we always had a note taker in our meetings to record meeting minutes for those who couldn't attend the meetings. It was great. When I was sick or out on maternity leave, I never missed a beat. I just read the backlog of notes and was fully informed of everything that had happened while I was away. It was awesome. But those aren't the only roles you can assign. You can assign a timer to keep people from talking too much or too little. You can even delegate the role of referee and have someone else make sure that everyone is respectful and make sure no one interrupts anyone else during a meeting or even resorts to name calling. Basically, setting expectations is about fostering the kind of environment that you need in that moment. You can set whatever rules and expectations you like, and you can be as creative as you like, and you can delegate as much of it as you like through roles. But if you are going to do that, you need and you have to be open to both give and receive feedback. And this feedback will take on many forms: praise, or even private one-on-one if need be. Sometimes it might be in the form of a quick question and answer, like a survey, or a little bit more informal, like what I call feeling the room. You can tell a lot about how people feel about something by how quiet they suddenly become, or sudden glances at coworkers, looking at their watches, yawning, or just general disinterest. Why would you keep doing something one way if you know it isn't working? And finally, in all that you do here, you should be leading by example. If you've set a structure for the day, you should follow that structure and be respectful of people's time. If you've given someone a role, then you should let that someone fulfill that role and not step on their toes or take that role away from them. And if someone gives you feedback, you should probably listen to it and take it to heart, just as you hope that they would do for any feedback you give to them. And those are the bare bones of how you begin to set expectations for an adult audience.